Hey guys, Redneck Mini 14 here. So recently on one of my videos, I had a viewer request that I show off my Ruger Mini 14 some more because this particular viewer was really drawn to my channel because of my Mini 14, and he just really missed seeing my Ruger Mini 14. And I actually asked, which Mini 14 do you want to see, because I have three of them. I have two Mini 14s and a Mini 30, and I don't know that he ever responded to that, but in this video I am going to show off all three of my Ruger Minis and just kind of give a brief history on how I got them and why I got them. So we're gonna start with my original Mini 14 ranch rifle that I bought way back. I was either 18 or 19 at the time. I had only had, at this point in my gun acquiring career, I probably only had about 9 or 10 firearms in my collection. I know I had like 5 hand-me-down guns, like my Model 12 shotgun, some 22s, things like that. And I had bought my first Marlin 336 30-30 to hunt deer with. I had, I think I got a Marlin 795 22 and a Universal M1 carbine. I think, those are really the only guns that I had. So I guess I had like 8 guns at the time. And, I was really drawn to guns that were non-tactical. I was not into the whole black guns fad. Well, I guess it's really not a fad, but you know what I mean. I wasn't really into AR-15s and AK-47s unless they were like, the old school wooden stock AK-47s. I just wasn't into all those tactical guns with the rails and, all the different attachments and the pistol grips and folding stocks. I just wasn't really into those kind of guns. I was really into more traditional style guns. And the Mini 14 is a very traditional style of rifle, at least in the ranch rifle configuration like this. And so I was really drawn to the Mini 14 because it was still a semi-automatic rifle. It still shot the 223, the 5.56, or in the Mini 30's case, the 7.62x39, and there were a few other options that had been available in the past and have been available since. But the Mini 14 is just a really cool, classy-looking rifle. And some would argue that it's more reliable than an AR-15. I'm just not going to go there. But in all reality, it is a very reliable rifle. It's not the most accurate rifle, but it has enough practical accuracy. In other words, like if you're, running around with a gun under pressure, being attacked, it's got enough accuracy where you should be able to hit your target. You're not going to shoot, dime-sized groups at 1,000 yards with this, nor would you really do that with an AR-15, but that's not really what either one of those guns were designed for. But anyway, back to the Mini 14 and why I like it. I just love a good, old school, classic looking rifle, but still has the capabilities of a more modern rifle, a semi-automatic rifle that shoots, an intermediate cartridge like the 223, the 5.56. So anyway, at the time I was working at Walmart. I was, like I said, 18, 19 years old. I forget exactly how old I was when I finally got this gun, but, Walmart, you can get a 10% discount if you work there. On pretty much anything, including guns and ammo. And Walmart's policies have changed since then, but back in the day, one of the guns that they used to carry was the standard Ruger Mini 14 ranch rifle with a wooden stock. And this was shortly after Sandy Hook, and all the AR-15s were out of stock, and even the Mini 14s, and a lot of these semi-automatic rifles had been out of stock for a very long time. And so it's like, I finally get to be gun buying age, and all the guns are just out of stock. So I had been waiting and waiting for a reasonably priced Mini 14 to come in stock, and one finally came into stock, and I think I paid $700 for this rifle. And that's really unreal when you think about how expensive they are now. I mean, they're well over $1,000 these days since COVID and everything has happened. But I think I paid $700, and that came with the gun, 2 5-round magazines like this, which nobody really uses these unless they're hunting, but came with 2 5-round magazines. It came with the scope rings and a rail and things like that. And it was very quickly became my favorite rifle. In fact, I really loved the rifle even before I had ever handled one, and I was just waiting for one to become available. So I finally got my hands on one. I took it out to the range. I acquired several magazines over the years. Now, I only ever took this gun out to just to have fun with, to shoot water jugs and tin cans, things like that. I never really took it out to see how accurate is this rifle. I think I did sight it in, maybe, or at least shoot it on paper a couple of times just to see kind of where it was. And I found that the rear sight on these guns, it comes loose, and I had to put some Loctite in there. And I don't think it's really exactly where it's supposed to be, but I really only take this gun out for fun, and I haven't taken this gun out in a very long time. I haven't taken most of my guns out in a very long time, but it is still one of my all-time favorite rifles, and I do not plan on giving it up. Now, like I said, it came with 2 5-round magazines. Over the years, I have acquired several of the Ruger 20-round magazines. I've acquired some of these Tapco magazines, which I don't even think Tapco exists anymore. I think that's a defunct company, which is unfortunate. But I think I got like 6 of these over the years, and I've had pretty good luck with these. So, this was a good affordable option for the Mini 14 because they're factory magazines, which are definitely the best magazines. They're just really expensive. And I do have one of the factory 30-round magazines. Now, I did have a few jams with this one. I've only taken it out the one time, to be honest with you. For the most part, I've either taken the 20-rounders or the Tapco 30-rounders. I've only taken this one out once, and like I said, I had problems with it. I don't know if it was a fluke or if there's actually something wrong with that magazine, but I have heard people say that they have had problems with the factory 30-round magazines. But anyway, that is the first Mini 14 that I ever bought. I believe it is a 582. You know what, let me just look. So yeah, it is a 582 series. A lot of people, they really want the 180 series. I think was the original Mini 14, and they talk about the 180 series, the 181, 182, all the way up to like 190 something, and then those were the skinny pencil barrels, and then they came out with the 580 series with the a little bit thicker barrel and a few other changes as well. So this is a 582. So I guess 2 serial number breaks after the 580 series came out, and I think with every serial number break like that, they have a couple change here or there or whatever. This one actually is the receiver is drilled and tapped for a Picatinny rail, which it did come with. So I think that was one of the changes with the 582 series of Mini 14s. But this is the only newer Mini that I have in my collection. Even though it was the first one, it's actually the newest one in terms of when it was manufactured. So let's move on to the second rifle that I bought. All right, fast forward about 3 years, and I'm a senior in college in my last semester of college. And I decided to go to the local gun shop in the town that my school was in, and just to kind of look around, see if I could find anything that caught my eye. Not necessarily looking to spend any money, but I just really wanted to look around because I hadn't really gone shooting or bought many guns because I was away at college. And I walked into this gun shop, and it's a lot of tactical, AR-15s and pistols and shotguns. But I noticed over on the far wall that there was a gun, a rifle that really caught my eye because it had a nice wooden stock and it looked like a Mini 30. In fact, well, it was a Mini 30, but you could tell it was a Mini 30 because it had a much more curved magazine in it than a Mini 14 or an AR-15, because 7.62 by 39, it makes the magazine have to be much more curved like this, like in an AK-47. So this, the Mini 30 over there had this Pro Mag, this plastic Pro Mag in it, and it was sitting on the rack, and it also had this goofy, I forget who makes this, but this goofy muzzle brake flash hider combo thing was pinned to the end of the barrel, which made it look really weird. But, other than the sling that I put on it, this is, actually it also had a flip-up sight, factory flip-up sight on it, which I have subbed out for a tech sight, which is a lot more user-friendly. But anyway, as you can see here, this is a Ruger Mini 30. This is a 186 series, and I looked it up when I was at the gun shop and found that this is the first year that they ever made the Mini 30, which I thought that was cool. And when I saw that, I just knew I had to have it. Now, the other thing that kind of caught my eye was that, even though it is an older Mini 30, it did not have the crescent butt plate style stock that the older, most of the older Mini 14s and Mini 30s had. It had, more of a conventional stock. And, the older Mini 14s and Mini 30s, most of them had that crescent butt plate like Ruger 1022. And I just think that looks kind of weird on a centerfire semi-automatic rifle like this. But this particular one has just a more standard stock. So anyway, I went into the gun shop. I saw it on the rack. I asked him to let me look at it, and it was like, I don't know, $850 or something. At this point in time, this was like the most expensive gun that I had ever bought. And they said they had layaway. I think they had like 90-day layaway or something like that. And I did the math, tried to figure out how much money I could spare each month to pay for this rifle, because I didn't work in college. I gave myself about a $2,000 allowance, and I was on the unlimited meal plan, and I really didn't go anywhere or socialize much. So that $2,000, that's basically just what little bit of gas I needed and what little bit of extra food and just anything else that I needed. And I tried to budget myself each week and to try to figure out how much money I could allow myself to spend each week. And so that's kind of how I budgeted my way through college while not working. And so I calculated how much money I could spare, and I could just squeeze by with putting this rifle on layaway. And so I did it. I pulled the trigger on it, and like I said, it came with this 30-round magazine, which I've never even used this magazine. I'm sure this is junk. But they also had a 5-round magazine, much like the Mini 14 that I have. So I bought this separately, and I want to say this was like $20 or $25. I mean, these are not cheap magazines by any stretch of the imagination, but when I first bought this gun, this and that Pro Mag right there were the only two magazines that I had for it. And so I went out and I ordered myself 2 of these factory 20 rounders. Now this one is loaded, but I got myself 2 of these, and I think later I got myself a third one. So I think I have 3 of these guys, which work great. And I got 2 of these, which these are another magazine that has been discontinued. But this is made by KCI. It's a metal magazine, and it's a lot like an AK mag, a little different because it's a Mini 30 mag, but it's a metal magazine, and it works pretty good, at least from what little bit of shooting that I've done with it, or with both of them. Actually, I got 2 of them, so I got these 2 of these magazines, but really those are the only magazines that I have. And obviously I added this leather Ruger sling to the gun. I took off this stupid muzzle brake because I thought it just looked ridiculous. I really just bought this gun for fun, but like I've said in the past in some of my other videos, I think that the Mini 30 is like the ultimate ranch rifle or farm rifle, whatever you want to call it. And I gave all my reasons for that, and to this day I think that still stands true for the most part. It really just kind of depends on how you operate your ranch or your property or whatever, but this is definitely an excellent rifle for just about any situation on a farm or a ranch, when you're out in your truck working on the land, or on a 4-wheeler UTV, or even on the tractor if you have a gun rack on your tractor. This is just an excellent rifle for that, because the 7.62x39 is just an excellent round for taking just about anything on this continent. So anyway, that is my Mini 30. I don't think I've ever had any problems with it the 2 or 3 times that I took it out to shoot. And it's just a really fun gun. A little bit more powerful than your traditional Mini 14, but it's another gun that I really love, just one of my favorite rifles, and I don't ever plan on getting rid of this one. So I have one more rifle to show you, so let's get that one out. Alright, fast forward another year or 2, and I was on Gunbroker searching around because I just had an itch to buy myself something. Every once in a while I just have an itch to buy myself another gun, and I would get on Gunbroker, Bud's Gun Shop, all these different websites where you could buy guns, and just see if anything caught my eye. And I came across this Ruger Mini 14 184 series with a side-mounted scope, and it had a sling and it had a Tapco magazine in it, and it just seemed like a really awesome setup. Like I said, the Mini 30, it's probably my number one choice for just a good all-around ranch rifle, but a setup like this where you have a side-mounted scope with the ability to use your iron sights is really an ideal setup. Now, this is an older model. It is, just has just like an old fixed 4-power scope on it, side-mounted, obviously, because it did the 184 series, and I don't know if it's like the 185 or the 186 where they came out with the scope rings, or at least the option to have the scope rings. But the 184 series, just a basic Mini 14, did not have the scope mounts integrated in the top of the receiver. So whoever had this before me put this side-mounted scope on, and it's really cool because you can use your iron sights. Now, whoever had this gun before me dremeled out that rear sight, and they also machined, or well, I guess cut off part of the front sight to make it look more straight up and down as opposed to a ramp, which, I don't really care much about that, but the dremeling out the rear sight, that was really stupid. And I do have, as you can see, they cut off the top basically. I do have parts to replace this rear sight. I just have never done it. And really, I've never shot this gun in general, but I really would like to get this gun out and shoot it, see how accurate it is with that scope. And like I said, it's a 184 series, so it does have the skinny barrel, so it's not going to be super accurate, but for like a coyote hunting rifle or just an all-around homestead defensive rifle against things like coyotes, foxes, bobcats, humans, this is just an all-around good setup, especially if you're in a big wide open area. You're not necessarily surrounded by woods. You have like a bunch of cornfields or hay fields or whatever, where you have a lot of wide open spaces and you need something that can get out there a little further, a sighting system that can shoot out a little further than just your regular iron sights. This is definitely a good setup for that. And so I really wanted this gun. I forget how much I paid for it. But I don't think it was quite as much as my Mini 30, but I could be wrong. But anyway, it came exactly how you see it now. I haven't done anything to this rifle. And like I said, I haven't shot it, but one of these days I will take it out and shoot it. I just don't have a whole lot of time to go shooting, nor do I have a whole lot of money to actually replace the ammo that I do shoot. I get out and shoot every once in a while, and I try to make sure I buy some ammo every once in a while, but I just have so many guns I can't get them all out and shoot them as much as I would really like to shoot them. So anyway, this is my third and final Mini 14. It does have a synthetic stock, which is really nice, so I don't have to worry about messing up a nice wooden stock like my other two Mini 14s. If I were to take them out into the woods, I would be a little more afraid of getting them all scratched up because they have those nice wooden stocks. But this one, not so much. I got this one more to be a hunting rifle and more like a defensive rifle for those scenarios that I talked about earlier. But yeah, so this is a really cool rifle. One of my favorites. Really all three of my minis are my favorites. But this one is it's a little different. It's a little more tactical, a little more, a little more hunting oriented. Whereas the other two, I really just bought to have fun with. I don't necessarily take either one of those out to hunt, although I would like to take the Mini 30 out one of these days and maybe try using it as a brush gun. And I might do some videos on how a Mini 30 could possibly be a decent brush gun, but I haven't tested that theory out yet. But anyway, that is the third and final Mini 14 in my collection. I would like to get some more Mini 14s in the future. I would like to get I definitely like a stainless model, whether it's a Mini 14 or a Mini 30. But I wouldn't mind having like a Mini 14 300 Blackout. I think that would be a cool one to have as well. And I do have an AR pistol that's 300 Blackout that it could pair up with. And really, I just wish that Ruger would come out with more calibers, kind of like all these companies do with AR-15s and how many different calibers there are in AR-15s. They could do that with a Mini 14. They could make one in like 450 Bushmaster, 350 Legend, all these different calibers that AR-15s can be chambered for. You could make a Mini 14 for it. In fact, they used to make a 6.8 caliber. I would really like one of those, but those are very rare. And they even made some 222 Remingtons, and those are even more rare. Those were more for like other countries. So it's really hard to find either of those two calibers, but you know, if I could ever find one and the price was right and I actually had the money to buy it, I'd probably jump on it. But right now I'm a little more poor than I would like to be, and just not in the cards right now to buy any more Mini 14s in the near future, just because they're expensive and I have other things that I need to use my money for. So anyway, those are my 3 Mini 14 style rifles, and that's all I have.
Hey, before I go, I just thought I'd remind everybody that I do have a second channel called Redneck Off the Range. Over there, I post most of my non-gun related content, so whether it's a video on my new tractor, my power tools, my projects that I'm working on, maybe wild game recipes, or just a random vlog, I post all of this kind of content over on my secondary channel. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, go check it out, Redneck Off the Range. But that's all for this video, so subscribe to my channel, like me on Facebook. I'm Redneck Mini 14, and until next time, be safe.